Back in 2014, India was sold this incredible dream: 100 brand new smart cities that would launch the nation into the future. It was supposed to be this huge symbol of progress. But what actually happened to that amazing vision? Let's dig in. The picture they painted was a utopia, right? We're talking spotless roads, AI managing everything, zero traffic. But if you live in Mumbai or Bangalore or Delhi today, you know the reality is a total nightmare. We're talking devastating floods, traffic that doesn't move for hours, and air so bad it's like smoking 10 cigarettes a day. So how did that beautiful dream turn into this mess? What went so wrong? Okay, so to really get to the bottom of why this whole mission failed, we have to rewind. We first have to understand the massive, massive problem it was trying to solve in the first place. This is truly a tale of two Indias and the huge gap between them. To really feel the insane pressure on India's cities, you have to wrap your head around this economic gap. Just look at this. The city of Mumbai, by itself, generates an economy more than double the size of the entire state of Bihar. Think about that for a second. One single city is twice as productive as a whole state. And this isn't just about abstract numbers. It has a massive impact on people's lives. An average person living in Mumbai earns nearly 10 times more than someone in Bihar. So what happens? Well, exactly what you'd expect. This huge difference is the engine that drives millions of people to leave their homes and flock to cities that are already bursting at the seams. And this pressure cooker is only getting hotter. By 2030, it's projected that 600 million people will be living in India's cities. To put that in perspective, that is double the entire population of the United States. This is the ticking time bomb that the Smart Cities mission was supposed to defuse. So you've got this enormous problem. The big answer was supposed to be the Smart Cities mission. But this is where our investigation really starts, and the first clue to why it all fell apart is right there in the money trail. Let's see where it takes us. Right from the get-go, there was a huge red flag. In the 2018 financial year, the mission needed over 13,000 crore rupees just for its first phase. So what did it get? Less than 4,000 crores. You can't launch a nationwide revolution with the budget of a medium-sized flyover. It was set up to fail. But here is where the story gets even weirder. You'd think they would spend every last rupee they were given, right? Nope. Of the little money that was released, almost none of it was actually spent. By the end of 2017, a staggering 93% of the money was just sitting in a bank account, unused. This is a crucial point. It wasn't just a funding problem. It was a spending problem. So what on earth was going on? Why wasn't the money being used? Well, it boils down to one simple, infuriating word: bureaucracy. For 3 whole years after this grand launch, most projects were completely paralyzed. They were stuck at the very first step, preparing something called detailed project reports that were never, ever submitted on time. Faced with this total paralysis, the government pivoted. They changed their strategy. But instead of fixing the root cause, the bureaucracy, they went for a new approach that was all about appearances. It prioritized cosmetic upgrades and flashy projects that would look good in a brochure but solved none of the real underlying problems. This new plan was called the retrofit model. The thinking was, instead of building super expensive new cities from the ground up, why don't we just give our existing cities a high-tech makeover? And on the surface, that sounds pretty practical. To make this new model work, they rolled out 2 big tools. The first was something called Special Purpose Vehicles, or SPVs. These were powerful new bodies designed to just cut through all the red tape. The second was Public-Private Partnerships, or PPPs, to attract private investment. These 2 things were meant to be the magic solution. But as we're about to see, they both failed, spectacularly. This quote right here just perfectly captures what happened. Instead of building efficient modern cities, the mission ended up creating monuments to its own failure. Let's take a look at what that actually meant for people on the ground. Let's look at Jaipur. They spent 10 crore rupees to beautify old city gates that were already cracked and falling apart. They spent another 76 lakhs on a park where the fancy fountain is now dead and overgrown. And get this, not a single one of the CCTV cameras actually works. And all this time, the real issues, like crushing traffic and water shortages, were completely ignored. And what about those public-private partnerships that were supposed to bring in all that cash? Well, in Putna, the private money just never showed up. It seems investors took one look and said, no thanks. So the original grand vision of 44 projects was slashed to just 29, and the budget collapsed by 2/3. The dream just evaporated. This story in Ajmer is even more telling. They poured money into these completely useless vanity projects. A food court was built, only to be demolished almost immediately. A Seven Wonders replica was created, and now it's being removed. And all the while, the city's essential services, like the drainage and sewage systems, were literally crumbling. This deeply flawed strategy had an official name: area-based development. The idea was to pick one tiny neighborhood and turn it into a perfect little showroom for a smart city. But what that really meant was that while one small area got a facelift, the vast majority of the city's residents saw absolutely no change at all. So, after following the money, looking at the strategy, and seeing the projects on the ground, what's the final verdict? What are the big lessons we can take away from this colossal failure? Well, 3 really clear lessons stand out. First, power needs to be local. This top-down approach failed because it ignored the city governments, the people who actually understand their city's problems. Real change has to start from the ground up. Second, you have to prioritize the basics. All the fancy buzzwords like AI and IoT are useless if you don't have the fundamentals, like clean water, working sewers, and safe roads. And finally, we have to learn to see past the PR. It's easy to announce a grand vision, but as citizens, we have to demand accountability for real, tangible progress, not just slick marketing campaigns. And that leaves us with one final crucial question to think about. After all this, we really have to ask ourselves, is the ultimate goal to build a smart city buzzing with technology? Or is it to build something much more fundamental, a city that simply works for the millions of people who live in it?